Okay, so officially, good afternoon to you all, and welcome to our webinar this afternoon, which is looking at assistive technology supporting those pupils and students that have dyslexia and using the technology in exams. So I'm joined today by my colleague James Bowen, or Jim, as some of you may know him. So he looks after secondary schools, and I'm Geraldine Bell. Again, some of you may already know me. So I look after colleges and universities. So over the next 45 minutes to an hour, we're going to chat about the technology that can be used. If any of you've got any questions at all, put them in the chat box down on the bottom right-hand side, and we can answer them as we go along, and we will have time towards the end of the presentation. But I'll tell you a little bit about us. We'll take a look at our products, the exam reader pen, look at its benefits and features. We've also got a great video case study, which I hope is going to play from Limerick University. Then we've got lots of evidence and impacts that we can share with you as well. So just to tell you a little bit about us as a company, if you're not already familiar with scanning pens, we've been established over 15 years now. We've offices here in the UK. So myself and Jim report into the Telford office, which is operating out of the University of Wolverhampton campus. But we're both working remotely, and we have been since the end of March now. So James is down in the Midlands, aren't you, James? And I'm up in the north of England on the outskirts of Leeds and Bradford. So that's where we're based. But we've also got offices in the States, Australia, Canada, and probably about 18 months, 2 years ago, we opened up another office in Mumbai. So we provide reader pens. This is the exam reader pen. So it's a smart piece of assistive tech that converts text to speech, and this is the exam approved one. But these pens are used by thousands of students across the world in schools, colleges, and universities. We're very passionate about enabling pupils that struggle to read, removing the barriers so that they can access printed text and hear words aloud anytime, anywhere. The picture on this slide here was taken in January, but it seems such a long time ago. I don't know if any of you go to the Better Education show down in London, but that's where we were. And we've got our two founders in the centre of the photographs. On the right, we've got Toby Sutton. And to the left of Toby is our other founder, a gentleman called Jack Churchill. It's actually Winston Churchill's great-grandson. Jack himself has dyslexia. I'm sure Jim won't mind me telling you that he's got dyslexia as well. But we're so passionate about the technology we've got and sharing it with as many people that, you know, will benefit from it. Jack's holding the BET Award. We actually got Company of the Year this January, so we're so proud of that. But how our lives have changed since January, and education's been so disrupted. So I'm hoping that you'll get some ideas of how you can potentially introduce the technology that we can provide over the 45 minutes. And as I say, if you've got any questions, do shout out. So I'll hand over to you now, Jim, and you can chat to them about some of the products we've got. Okay.
Absolutely, thanks, Geraldine. And as Geraldine explained, so I'm dyslexic myself as well. I'm very lucky that I get to work with scanning pens, talk about dyslexia, and I really understand some of the viewpoints and some of the struggles that students have at school, and maybe you as parents as well, with a son and daughter who may have dyslexia, and some of the experiences in examinations and also in the classroom. So it's really interesting to hear some of the stories going around and share some of my experiences as well, which I may do in this presentation with you guys as well. So the first thing I want to do is explain about some of the different pens that we have available before we go into the exam reader. So there's one pen that we have available, which is called the reader pen. And I'll go into more detail with this in my next slide. But basically, the reader pen is what we call probably the research pen, the home use pen. So the reader pen actually has different features on it. So it has a dictionary, a dictaphone, and storage on it. And I'll go into them in more details later on. So this is a pen that actually officially in the UK can't be used in examinations. However, here in Ireland, you can use the reader pen in examinations. To clear things up, when I went to the SEC exam board, they basically said that you'd need to tell them that you're going to potentially go and use the reader pen in examinations, but you would need to put on an exam lock, which is located on the pen. So you would put in a PIN code into there, which will then turn the reader pen into the exam reader. So it all depends how you want to use the pens, really. So the exam reader is basically specifically designed for examinations to follow the exam guidelines. And Geraldine will go over the exam reader in more detail with you later on. So the main differences between them is the exam reader is stripped down. It has none of them features on, so that it can be used in examinations, whereas the reader pen has all of the features on, like the dictionary and the dictaphone. So moving on, the next product that we sell is the Lingo pen. So if you do have any students with EAL, so additional languages, the Lingo pen may be a solution for you. So it actually translates 8 different languages on it. So it has French, Spanish, Italian, German, Chinese, Russian, and an Arabic download. So the Lingo pen not only will look them up on a dictionary for you and give them the different translations from them dictionaries, but it'll actually translate separate words for you. So you can get English to French, French to English. So you can scan over it and it'll actually give you the definitions. So it's a translator pen. So any of you, Geraldine may go over this in more detail, but the Connect pen may be a solution for students, especially at FE, I'm sure Geraldine will want to speak about this more, but the Connect pen is basically a device compared to the others, but it requires Bluetooth. So what you would need to do is download an app onto your iPad or onto your laptop where you'd scan the words and then it will appear on the app on your iPad or computer screen, which you can then use as Bluetooth. So you'd need your Wi-Fi, you'd need your Bluetooth to use this app to then translate words from maybe Google Translate or use the different translations that are located on the CPen Connect app. But the main difference between the Connect pen is that you need Bluetooth and you would need internet to use this pen compared to the other pens that are completely portable and don't require Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Is there anything you want to add, Geraldine? Can't hear you. There we go.
No, I think the only thing I would add that it's very much in schools, well, secondary schools anyway, colleges and universities, the 2 main products are very much the reader pen and the exam reader, and more so the exam reader. But from established college customers, accounts that I personally look after, that they're starting to invest more in the reader pen, especially with COVID-19, because lessons are disrupted. You may have students studying remotely at the moment, and the more people we speak to, the more we hear that they're really struggling to offer that one-to-one support. So even if you've got classes running on site, you may not have the staff to support them in the restricted number of teaching groups that you have. Thanks, Jim.
So basically what I wanted to do is talk about why scanning pens are helpful. So the main premise, as Geraldine's explained, is to scan over printed text and then read aloud back to you. So it's basically giving you that simultaneously highlighting. So you're actually highlighting that word, you're seeing it on that screen, and then you're having it read aloud back to you. So in the next slide, I'll explain what's in the box, but basically what you'd have headphones plugged in. So it's that distraction free. So instead of maybe using a tablet or a computer, you're sat there, you're using your pen, you're fully engaged, you're independent and using it within that environment that you're sat in. And as I said before, it doesn't require Wi-Fi and doesn't require Bluetooth. It runs off a built-in rechargeable battery. So it's just a bit like your mobile phone, an ion battery. So you'll just plug it in, as Geraldine's showing there, into a USB cable and then plug it into your laptop or computer. In terms of battery life, you get 8 hours battery life, and it takes up to 2 to 3 hours to charge. So lastly, just on that slide as well, which I forgot to mention. So obviously, because of what's happening in the world at the moment, the pen is a fantastic tool for social distancing. Because the person would require to use them more independently, they wouldn't need to share the pen around with other students. So it's really covering that aspect of social distancing, so they can actually use the pen more independently in the classroom. There's no need for you to worry about working with that student because they're already using one of these pens. So that's a great thing to bear in mind when implementing the pens. So if you've already got a pen or you're thinking about getting a trial, there's a few things that would be included in the box. So as we explained, you'd get a USB cable within the box anyway. Always ensure that you keep on top of battery charging. So what I mean by this is we've had a lot of customers who come back to us and say the pen ain't turning on, I'm having trouble with it. And when you go and look and investigate a little bit more, you find that basically they bought the pen, put them in a cupboard and left them for 6 months to a year. And then when they get them out, the pen's struggling to power up. And the reason for this is because the pen's just like any electronic device, is that you need to continuously keep the battery warm. You need to continuously keep on top of charging. If you're always letting the pen go flat, it will struggle then to power up. So all you need to do is just make sure that when it's quite low, that you just plug it in straight away and get to keep on top of that charging. You get a leather case included in the pen, so you just pop it into the leather case. That keeps it safe and keeps it so you can carry it with you. And as you can see from Geraldine, she's actually got a lanyard attached to the pen as well. This is something that we sell and offer as well, and it's just a great thing that gives that student some personalization, that maybe that's the pen that they use, that they keep on them, and that's quite a nice thing for them. And it's also a nice little thing to carry the pen with them as well. And it's also great when you're scanning to have the pen attached to you from the lanyard. And then you get headphones in the box as well. So they're just a normal 3.5mm jack. So it's your standard universal headphones that you can just plug into your pen and away you go. So really easy, and the student can use their own headphones if they decide that they need to be ones that you plug in. So they're not, you can't use Bluetooth headphones. They need to be ones with a jack. So I'll skip through this part and I'll move into the reader pen. So what I want to do is just give you a brief explanation of some of the different settings, some of the different features that the reader pen has to offer. So the reader pen main premise, scan the text and have it read aloud back to you. But within the text reader, there's some settings that you can personalize on both the reader pen and exam reader to that student's likings. So for example, you can actually change how quick or how slow the pen will speak back to you. So if you go into text reader, you click menu, you can then choose between different speeds. But what you will find is if you slow it down too much, the words start to become slurred and it actually becomes quite difficult to understand. So what we actually did was we released new settings called the word pause and the punctuation pause. What these settings allow you to do is pause between each word for a couple of seconds. So it just gives that student, so say for example, you're scanning the sentence, the cat sat on the mat. What it's doing is it's breaking up this comprehension for you and making it much easier for that students to digest what they're reading. So instead of going, the cat sat on the mat really quite quickly, being dyslexic myself, I would need that sentence broken down for me, because what I find is I'll read quite quickly, and then when I'm asked questions on the previous paragraph, I've already forgotten what I've read. So that's where kind of the word pause and the pen becomes quite a useful tool. And this is where you can maybe explain to students who may find the pen difficult to use, is that they can use it in this certain way, so they can actually pause between each word. So it's going the cat sat, and it's breaking up that sentence and making it much easier for that student to comprehend what they're reading. So that's just one of the settings that they can use on the text reader to personalize it to the way they learn. The other thing is the pen doesn't know what punctuation pause is. So you'd have to select between 1 to 3 seconds and it will pause for punctuation. So your commas, your full stops, your question marks, and it'll actually stop for you. So it's great for the student to then understand where punctuation is best placed. The other thing is, so you'll be happy to know, guys, there is different accents that you can select on the pen as well. So we do have an Irish accent on there. So we have an Irish, a Scottish, a British, an American. And I have been asked this before in presentations. I'm not sure what part of Ireland that the accent is from, I'm afraid. The last presentation that I did, they said it better not be from Dublin. So that's all they said to me anyway. But all of the different accents, they said that I'm not sure what accents are on there, but you can go and select the different accents and get that personalized to your own likings. The other thing that you can do on the pen is you can change it between left and right-handed. So there is a setting on there where you can select left-handed, and what it does is it flips the screen for you. And basically anyone who's left-handed is when they're holding the pen, it's in the correct way. And what it allows you to do is to scan left to right, right to left. So you can actually scan backwards. And you will find students actually find this better to do. So they can actually scan backwards left-handed and it will still read from the natural side. So that's what you can actually do in the text reader, and you can actually personalize it with all of these different settings. And there will be a video what one of my colleagues did that shows you how to access all of these different settings, and we'll send this over at the end of this presentation to you guys, so you can actually see the pen scanning and you can actually see all of the different settings and how she accesses them. The next feature is the dictionary. So it's just simple as it says, a dictionary that you can scan a word, you can look up the definition, and it will read back that dictionary definition to you. So you've got the Oxford Primary Dictionary and you've got the Collins Dictionary. So if you want a more simplified definition, pick the Oxford Primary, or if you want a more in-depth definition, you can select the Collins Dictionary. A great feature is the scan to file. So the scan to file just allows you to save onto the 8 GB storage that is on the pen, and then you plug in your USB cable, and then you can upload the text that you've scanned straight onto your computer screen. So we are Google partners as well, and basically it's just a great way of data capturing. So it's great for students, especially in FE, HE, where they're in the library, maybe they want to capture some dictionary definitions, they want to capture some references, scan that, and then they can upload it onto their computer screen. And finally, we have a recorder. So this is just a dictaphone. So the pen will just basically record voice clips onto MP4 or WAV files, which you then can upload as sound files onto your computer, or you can plug in your headphones and listen to the lecture notes or record your own voice clips, however you kind of want to use that recorder feature. So as I explained, we got the accents on there, you've got the dictionary, you've got the, so another great feature that I always actually forget to mention is the talking menu. So the talking menu is great for students with visual impairment, which basically what it does is if you select the talking menu, it will just speak each menu as you scroll through them. So text reader, dictionary, and it will actually speak them aloud to you. So it helps you as you're navigating through each menu. So you can toggle between on and off using this menu. We've now added the clear screen. So when you're scanning, you click menu, you can actually see clear screen. So it will clear off everything that you've scanned recently. And finally, another feature that we've added in is the auto read feature. So what the auto read feature allows you to do, you can toggle it on and off, is basically if you scan a line and lift up the pen, it instantly reads it back to you. But now with auto read, you can actually have this off. So this means if you scan a line, it won't read it back. Or if you scan the next couple of lines and then you press the button, then you'll get the whole lot read back to you in one chunk. So what we do suggest is it all depends on that student and how they want to use it. Some students use it to just pick out the odd word. Some students use it to read a couple of lines, and some use it for paragraphs. But the auto read feature is just a great way for that student, again, to personalize it to their learning. So they can toggle it on or they can toggle it off. So what I'm now going to do you want me to do the exam guidelines, Geraldine? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just say that the exam reader is an exam approved pen. Most exam boards, well, actually, JCQ, there's no access arrangements with it. However, it's slightly different with SEC, but it is an approved pen. So, Jim, do you want to talk to them about the SEC?
Yes. So we've done quite a lot of work with the State Exams Commission, and we've actually gone to visit them in Athlone, which was really nice. We had scones and a cup of coffee. So we went to meet Patricia at SEC and one of her colleagues. And basically, it was probably 2-3 years ago, maybe two, could have been 3, when we got the exam pen officially approved by the State Exams Commission. And that says statement just on this presentation. So whenever a student is eligible for reasonable accommodation, they can actually apply for one of the exam readers to be used in their examinations. So it's an access to an exam reader as an alternative accommodation to a reader or reading assistant or a computer. So you can actually go and apply for one of these exam readers through SEC. From what I'm aware, it's very easy to do. It's just a simple tick box, and then you can actually go ahead and purchase the exam reader and then use it in examinations. In terms of feedback from SEC and what we've learned from them is the 2 pens, the reader and exam reader, they have stated that you can use the reader pen in examinations as long as the exam lock is actually on the pen. But what they have stated is if you are going to use the reader pen in examinations, you would need to just notify them and let them know that you're using that in exams. So basically, the exam lock on the reader pen just turns the reader pen into the exam pen. So it all depends how you want to use it, really. So it's up to you if you want to purchase the exam reader or you want to go ahead and just continue with the reader pen. In terms of feedback from SEC, and what we found is last year, from what I remember, there was over 100 people that applied to use the pen. There could have been more. I can't remember the exact figures. But what SEC were saying to us when we gone to meet them is that they're seeing a large increase in people actually going to use the exam reader in examinations, and they're getting some really positive feedback. So in terms of examinations, you would need to apply to use one of these pens, and I think that's basically it in terms of the SEC. It's all on their website, so if you are just looking for a reference, I think Geraldine's given you the link.
Yeah, I've put
that you can go in and actually see the accommodations for yourself. But you can definitely go in and use the pen in examinations.
Yeah, so the links on this slide, I'm not sure if you can all see that. It's the font color is not great, but it's www.examinations.ie/schools and then that number there. But we are sending you a copy of that presentation. So thanks for that update, Jim. But if you are going to support students in exams, you're probably already using human readers. It is the most common solution and it can be very expensive. Now, I've got a video to show you from Limerick University, which is great because they've saved so much money. But for you as an institution, again, depending on how many students require support, do you have enough readers? Do you have enough rooms? And all this brings its challenges with it. I know many colleges over the last few years have literally had to close college down so that they can accommodate all the students with access arrangements that are needing separate rooms. So introducing this technology can just make you more efficient and free up staff time, of course, as well, and hopefully save you some money. And then we've got to think about the students as well. Exams, I think, are overwhelming for anybody. I know I used to go to pieces when I did exams in my younger years, but even more so for the student that has difficulty reading, they've got dyslexia. It's all about their own self-esteem, their confidence. They don't want to sit in a separate room from everybody else. They want to sit in the exam hall. This will make you fully inclusive. Students will ask, well, why do I have to be in a separate room? Why do I have to have a human reader? And even though you may have that human support, I've spoken to so many exam invigilators and reading support that are sitting in a separate room with their pupils and students, and maybe the student's not familiar with the reader. So again, they're not very confident about asking a question. If they do have the confidence to put their hand up in the room and ask a question, it's saying, well, how many times can I get them to repeat that question? And 9 times out of 10, they won't use that support. Whereas if you introduce these pens, they can just have them to hand, they can put their earphones in, they can scan over the word in the question, they can scan over the entire question, and they can play it back as many times as they want. So Jim chatted through the features on the reader pen, and basically the exam reader pen is a stripped down version of the reader pen, but it doesn't include the storage, it doesn't include the dictionary, and it doesn't include the recorder. So this pen is great for you guys, again, when you're planning exams, because you don't have to go through, if you chose a reader pen, you have to think ahead and think, well, you're going to have to go through and put the exam lock on. This is basically ready to go and use in exams. So this pen only has 2 features on the menu. So once it's charged up, you'll get 8 hours life on it the next day. So it'll run a full day of exams. Once it's switched on, you'll see 2 options, text reader or settings. So text reader, like the reader pen, scans and converts text to speech. The text that they scan will appear in the window as it does on the picture in the image here. And then the student or pupil have got access to change the settings. So again, they can put the punctuation pause on, they can change it from left to right, they can adjust the volume, so they can adjust it to their own personal preferences. If you do have any left-handed students as well, what it will allow the left-handed student to do is actually scan the pen from right to left, as opposed from scanning left to right. And then it will read it back accordingly. And as I say, a lot of students going into exams, they may just want to listen over and over to a word or to a question quite a few times just to get clarity on what's being asked for them. So what they can do in an exam is just put little headphones in, and then they can listen to it as many times as they want, or they can just get the pen to repeat the word over and over. So we do have updates on all our pens every year. Once you've acquired stock and have pens, you can download this latest software to the pens. And at the beginning of this year, we released some new languages. So this pen not only reads English, but it will also read French, German, Italian, Spanish. And then our newer languages include Danish, Dutch, Norwegian, Portuguese, Russian, Swedish, and Mandarin, so Chinese. So it reads in Mandarin, not Cantonese, if you've got any international students. It comes complete with a wizard setup. We do offer full training on how to use the pens. So if anyone's interested in taking a free trial, we will offer you training to support that as well. Like the reader pen, it comes with its accents as well. So it does have the Irish accent on there. And it also includes a Latin American Spanish accent as well. I've not actually heard that one yet. And like Jim mentioned earlier, it also has the auto read functionality on the pen as well. So as we move on to looking at evidence and impact, I'm going to play you a video now. So this is from the University of Limerick. The University of Limerick have probably been using the exam reader pens for probably 3 or 4 years now, and we're probably, as far as stock goes, probably using over 300 pens. Their number of total students, probably about 15,000 students. I'm hoping you can all hear me because I know my internet's dropping slightly. But they introduced the pens, and their main driver was allowing students to work independently and sit in the exam hall independently without reading support. So let's play this video now. And again, I hope you can all hear it.
My name is Thomas O'Shaughnessy. I'm the Assistive Technology Officer at the University of Limerick. We have approximately around 12,000 students. Courses range from engineering and science to education to music, humanities.
My name's Pat Hoy. I'm the Access Manager at the University of Limerick. So that role is really managing initiatives that look at widening participation to the university for groups that are underrepresented in higher education. And one of those would be people with disabilities. I think for us, and for all educators in third level, we have to think, and indeed the students need to think about professions after education. So we're not just teaching our students, we are getting them ready for when they graduate.
When new students arrive, they normally come to Disability Services when we have an assessment with them. We sometimes give them extra time, sometimes we give them human readers, but we found that a lot of the students were reluctant to ask the invigilator to read the question for them if someone else was present in the room. And what happens was there were so many rooms required for readers that we were stretching almost the whole length of our whole main building. We knew this wasn't practical going forward, so we had to find that kind of solution, and that's where the exam reader pen came in. We tried it with 5 students and it worked really well. So they replaced the need for human readers in the classroom.
The fact that we had the pen was, was really a miracle. That you could actually negotiate yourself through a text without input from another individual. You could get yourself into an exam situation where you could actually read the questions yourself. So you were fully informed, you were independent.
The technology that the university have shown me, I didn't know any of it before coming into the university. The pen makes it much easier, kind of less awkwardness there, that you're not asking someone, you're not relying on someone to read something back to you that just couldn't make head nor tail of. But if you have the pen, you've no fear of that at all. You can just scan whatever you want, go over it and listen back.
We found out with our students that feedback was starting to come, that people were misreading questions, but now with the reading pens I'm not getting that feedback. These pens read out perfectly, they read out with a proper accent, they don't have to worry about mistaken words.
Sometimes I just miss words in the question, and then it can lead to me writing stuff that's not relevant if I read the question wrong. Chemistry, it kind of helps because they're bigger words and you can actually hear what they sound like, but I try to know how to say them.
We train the students usually in the weeks leading up to the exams. It's about a 10-minute session that we do with the students around the reading pen. We scan in past exam papers, I go through the features of the pen, and then all the students get to trial it out. The students seem to pick up the pen really easily because the features on it are pretty straightforward.
I had like a day introduction to actually use the reading pen, that you had to change it from left-handed to right-handed because I'm left-handed.
Once you have your headphones in and you have the voice there and you're constantly concentrating on scanning it, it makes it so much handier that you have something to concentrate on. There's nothing really outside you because you're looking down at the page, the headphones in the ear, you're hearing it back, so there's very little to actually distract you.
So we started originally with 5 reading pens. After that we moved to, I think it was 37, then it went to, I think, 126 last semester. I think we worked it out in the first exams, just with first years alone, I think it saved us something like €7,000, but we were predicting that maybe when every year is using it that we'd be saving approximately 25,000 a semester. But most of all, it's taken over that need for the students to be reliant on someone else. We can't send them out into the work environment not being able to read handouts of material that they've been given, anything in hard copy. So now the students can take reading pens out into the workplace, they can scan text away, they don't have to be embarrassed.
It's efficiency for the organisation, but also efficiency for the student. Key thing for us is to make that individual independent, empowered, learn their programme of study, learn their profession, and then being able to transfer into a work environment seamlessly and be confident.
The university is very supportive in that the technology isn't just based towards schooling or education. They're feeling like, I'm only allowed to use that in college or only on college material. I found there's actually one girl that I was talking to, a friend of mine, that uses the pens as well. And she says she has it in her bag with her, and if she's ever in a restaurant or something and she sees something on a menu, she scans them as well and she carries it around with her.
So the pen's enabling to work better in a work environment. If you had only a day to read a thing, it might be easier to have a reading pen just to go over the stuff instead of sitting down and reading it yourself. You could have a little bit of an aid.
Some students would feel that their disability would have a negative impact, but they can be confident and say, look, I have this technology and it's worked for me. You know, I have a first in my degree. I got that through being an independent learner, through the use of reading pens, and it makes me as efficient as anyone else. Probably makes me more efficient because I have to think outside the box. I've had to adapt, and I can adapt also in employment.
So hi, sorry if the sound there was a bit echoey, but I know that's a university, so aware that some schools may be on this session, but we've got so many videos and case studies that we can share with you. But I think Limerick just gives you a really good overview of how it can potentially be used to support students in exams. And as they pointed out there, when students are in further education or higher education, you are preparing them for their next transition into the workplace, and they won't necessarily have the support that you will have in school or college. And indeed, if they're studying remotely at the moment, again, this is a piece of technology that they could potentially be allowed to take home so they can continue with their studies there. It does increase independence and it does improve outcomes for students as well. And as you mentioned, it's very little training. Most young people take to these pens within 5 or 10 minutes. But as I said earlier, we do offer full training. And they're saving a lot of money. They're actually quoting now that they're saving €30,000 per semester. So Limerick will gladly speak to any of you as a reference site if any of you want to catch up with the team there. So Jim, you've got some testimonials here as well, haven't you?
Yeah. Thank you. So I've got a few case studies that we've done and reviews. This is just one from MASH. Basically, MASH is a gentleman called Simon Lewis. He's part of a school in Carlow. Basically, what he's done is he's done a review of the pens, the reader pen, that he used more as kind of a home support and with his daughter as well. So he used it as kind of James Northridge works for Your Ability. Some of you heard what I've just said, said it again. So basically, funny story. So James invited me to a demonstration to the Cork support group on dyslexia, and basically went to do this presentation. It was quite short notice. James is also dyslexic himself as well. And we were in this big hall. I projected this presentation straight onto the screen. And as typical my fashion, I actually got his name completely wrong. So I put James Notrid. So as it came up saying James Notrid. So as I started to commence the presentation, everyone had a little chuckle to themselves. And I looked over and says, oh, God, dropped myself in it again. So that was quite funny. But any of you who doesn't know James, it's well worth checking out some of the AT courses that he runs. So he runs everything about assistive technology and goes through all of the different toolkits available to help students with reading difficulties. And in particular, he does a good piece on the scanning pens. And I have done stuff with Enable Island as well. So I've done some presentations with them guys. So it's worth looking into some of the stuff that we've done with them, and definitely looking at what we've done with Your Ability. So in particular, this slide here, and it's well worth if you're a secondary school, looking at St. Joseph's National School. There's Adam there. Adam actually has one of our pens, and he's done a lovely review. And in that picture there, he's actually showing, I think, the mayor of Cork, possibly. I'm not 100%. But basically, in that picture, he's actually showing him the reader pen and how he uses it. So Adam there actually uses the pen for everyday use. And it was really lovely to meet him. So I actually met him myself as well, and speak to him about how he uses the pen at school and in the classroom. I've gone again, but anyway, I'll pass it on to you, Geraldine, because my microphone isn't working
Yeah,
very well.
I could hear you okay then, actually, but
Yeah.
yeah, let's move on. So as I said, we've got lots of testimonials, we've got lots of resources, we've got like lots of case studies, which are very much sector specific. So as well as the University of Limerick, one of our newest universities this year was the University of Law. So they have around 10,000 students, who approximately 11% of those are disabled, and they're spread across a number of campuses throughout England, and an ever increasing number have complex needs and have reading requirements or require reading support. So the guy there is called Keith Houghton. He's the head of student support and services. So he had a successful trial over the summer period, and they're rolling the pens out now as part of a complete support package there. University of Westminster, it is a reliable tool for people who have reading problems. It is very handy. It's small in size. So they are small, they are discreet. It's something students can use, you know, have in the bag, have in the pocket, or indeed use one of the lanyards like I've got on today. Some further information on Limerick there from the video study that we've just done. As I say, they're actually financially saving up to €30,000 now. It's really helped them because they don't have to plan multiple rooms and lots of teaching support. If you have any international students as well, or students learning English perhaps, again, we've got a lot of EAL case studies. The University of Plymouth use it for one of their international relations students that really struggled with reading chapters in books, and was taking her hours to go through the books, but she actually used a reader pen, and she picked it up really quickly and was able to read through very difficult words and use the dictionary. So the spelling, the dictionary really, really helped that particular student out. If any of you want or already have pens, should I say, or are interested in taking a trial, we do have our own in-house Senko and our head of education, a lady called Julia Clouter. Some of you may have met with Julia. She does do a lot of keynote speaking at some of the main educational conferences. We are doing a lot of this online at the moment, but Julia's got a great series of CPD sessions for you. So she can do an introduction session, which myself and Jim can also deliver, which looks at how you navigate around the pens, go through all the different settings in the pen. But as I say, they do require very little training. As it said on the Limerick video, it takes about 10 minutes to show students how to use it. And then Julia also does implementation training sessions as well, how to deploy the tools for successful interventions and roll it out across schools and colleges. And she'll also do a session on specific learning difficulties and learning support, looking at strategies that could really help you internally at your institutions. So sorry for any sound issues that we've had. I hope you could all hear the video. We will send you a copy of this recording. As I say, we've got so many resources that we can potentially share with you, but I'll put some links on this last slide here. So we've got reader pen, exam reader links. We've got that linked up to colleges and universities. We've also got one for secondary schools, which we can share with you. Our YouTube channel has lots of very good videos, not only that we've produced ourselves from external speakers, associations, that you can watch. There's also the link for the Limerick study on there. And we do run very specialist webinars, tend to be on a monthly basis. So we've recently done the Dyslexia Learning Festival. I know we've got our second Dyslexia Learning Festival coming up in the spring. I'm not sure if we've got a date for that yet. Julia, who I mentioned earlier, has also spoken at the test show. And again, if you guys are successfully using the pens, we'd love to hear from you. We're looking for new content for the new year. And if we can offer you any support and guidance, you want to take a trial, then please do get in touch with us. does anybody have any questions at the moment? Yeah, so Orla, you're asking, is there a video demonstrating how to physically use the pens? Yes, indeed there is. We do have one from Julia that she's produced. So it chats you through the functionality of the reader pen and the exam reader pen. And I do believe we are putting some new videos together on that. And I know Jim's actually filmed one himself that I sometimes share on the exam reader pen as well. So Deirdre, you're asking a question there. I think advantages does the reading pen offer outside the exam scenario? I think one of the major benefits is it doesn't require any Wi-Fi. You know, it's a simple device they can have, you know, to hand in the pocket. It's got the dictionary on there, and it's just something they can use in classroom. They can use it remotely instead of accessing other solutions and apps. So again, if you're using it in a learning setting and they've got access to a web browser, could perhaps be quite distracting to them as well. Yeah, the video and lots of other videos is accessible online, Orla. So if you go to the Scanning Pens YouTube channel, I should have a link for that on this slide there. Otherwise, yes, I do. So there is the YouTube channel. So you'll find videos not only from universities, there's also videos from colleges and schools as well. I'm sure Jim will be able to share some successful school ones with you as well. We are sending a copy of this recording once our marketing team run the edits for us. So that'll probably arrive with you in a day or two, or definitely before the end of the week. We'll send you a copy of the presentation and indeed the recording. Yes, Anne-Marie, you're asking, our exam pens are 2 years old. Do they need any updates? Potentially, yes, they do. Our last update was in January of this year. It depends which version of the pen you are on. But once you're in the pen, if you switch it on, and you can go into settings on the pen, and then in settings, you'll find system information. I don't know if you guys can see that fully. If you go into system information, there is the option to select version. So you go into version and it'll tell you which version of the pen you're on. And then you can go to the CPen website link and check whether there is a new update for that particular pen. So again, if you want to get in touch with me, I can send you the link through for that, Anne-Marie, if you want to send me an email, okay? And I'll send you through the link for the updates for you to check. And we can support you in doing that as well if you don't have, or if you're not comfortable in doing that yourself. Thank you. So do we have any more questions? Jim, have you completely lost sound?
No, I'm all good now. I was messing about with the headset, but I think we're all good.
I think we've answered questions. Yeah.
And we'll get out the recording to everybody and the presentation, can't we? Sorry,
Anne-Marie, I missed your request for putting the captions on the video, so sorry about that. I've only just seen that. Yep, so we'll stay on for another minute or two in case there's any questions.
Yeah, brilliant.
I think we've got another question coming through. Okay, thank you. No, thank you for spending an hour out of your busy schedule with us this afternoon. I hope you found it useful. And as I say, if you think of any questions afterwards, just get in touch with myself or Jim. So contact me, Geraldine@scanningpens.com, and Jim's email address is simply jim@scanningpens.com.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for your time.
Guys.
Thank
really
you ever so much.
it.
Thank you.